What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jermane'S, and today we have some very, very bad stories today to bring to you guys live. So, I know you guys see the caption and see everything. So, Trump is saying that the ceasefire between Iran and the United States is over because Iran violated the terms and conditions of the deal and attacked a few vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, and United States respond rapidly um, and strike over 80 targets in Iran. So, although the ceasefire is over, Trump is saying that we could still negotiate, but the ceasefire is over. So, if you guys have been watching my live for a while now, I spoke about this on numerous occasions where I'm saying that the Iranian government is so vast, and no one really knows who is controlling the country to a certain degree, and who has the final say on any initiative that Iran might be undertaking. So it's crazy because Trump might make a deal, or the United States might make a deal with one faction of the government, but if the other faction of the government doesn't agree with it, then it could spell disaster. You understand? So that's what's going on right now. It's they're saying is a faction of the Iranian National Guard that really attacked the ships in the strait, and because ultimately what Iran wants is to collect toll from the strait. That's what they're looking to do. They're looking to do it to collect toll from ships going through the strait, and the United States is not with that, and also the international community is not with that as well. So that's where the conflict came in, and you know, it's a whipsaw situation, on again, off again, on again, off again, and it's been going on for a while now. Um, the tension cooled over the past few weeks. Oil was ultimately going down, and gas was following suit as well. But now oil spiked over 6% in early morning trade, and the Dow was down 700 points. The Nasdaq was down significantly as well, and also the S&P 500 index was also down. However, they have recovered a little bit now, but that fear is still lingering in the markets. That fear is still there. That fear is still there, and I am thinking this is going to be a continuous um, operation and a continuous fear that traders and investors and the world at large will have to have in the back of their mind, because going forward they might strike a deal again some point in the future. Maybe today, tomorrow, they might strike a deal again, and ceasefire might be on again, and then it might go off again where Iran probably do something that caused the United States to respond, or Israel to respond, to either the Houthis up there in Lebanon. Because remember, Israel is a part of this whole thing too, and the Houthis in Lebanon are part of this whole thing too. So it's a very, 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 very tedious situation, and it's a very delicate situation as well. So that's what's going on today in the markets. What you guys think? I To be honest with you, I think this was never a long-term solution to what's going on in Iran. I know this ceasefire was going to fall apart somewhere or somehow, because as I said earlier, the people who are controlling Iran, it's not one man controlling Iran. It's like different faction of the government. And they did this, and they set up the government after the Ayatollah passed away like this because they don't want to have any centralized command. Their command is decentralized, and one faction of the command might not be in agreement with the other factions. So that's why we have these strikes happening, and one faction is saying, "Oh well, we didn't sanction this strike. We didn't, we didn't authorize this," and then another faction might say, "Oh, we didn't know about this neither," and then a next faction is saying, "Oh well, we didn't agree with the terms of the deal. We didn't agree with that, so that's why we're retaliating, and we want the tolls, we want the ships to be paying tolls going through the strait." So ultimately, it's either we have to make some sort of negotiations where all the Iranian government faction is coming together to really be in one accord and get this done, because we need this to be done. Um, Oil. So one thing to note though, even though the markets dropped like significantly, the Dow was down 700 points earlier, and the Nasdaq was down a bit more. Well, not a bit more, but almost close to that. It's not as surprising as how it was earlier in the year when Trump come out and say something and the markets take a deep dive. Traders are getting used to this on again, off again thing with Iran. So it is not as significant as it was before in the past. So that's one thing to note. And you know, Trump was in Turkey. Trump was in some meeting in Turkey. I forgot what meeting it was in Turkey, and this is when he made these comments. So what do you guys think? I don't think oil is gonna go up more. I hope. 1 second, guys. I don't think oil is gonna go up any more significantly than what it is, because the market gets used to it, and there's not a the fear is not as pronounced as it was before, because um, we kind of realize this pattern. People kind of catching up on this pattern where the tension is cool for a few weeks, oil prices start to go down, give the world economy a relief, and then boom, it's back on again. The attacks start again, and then the tensions erupted, and oil might cut off for a few days, for a few weeks, and so throughout this whole process, I think that there's going to be some relief for the world market as it relates to oil going through the straits and supplying the world economy with its oil demand. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. But who knows? Who knows? This might just be a short-term misunderstanding, and the markets and the world economy might just bounce back from this today. I don't know if the market's gonna stay down all day today, or they might bounce back, but we shall see what happens throughout the course of the day. That's what's going on with Trump. Trump is overseas right now. And also, they attack the Iranian fire hitting U.S. military targets in Bahrain and Kuwait. Yeah. So yes, Trump is at the NATO summit. That's where he's at. He's at the NATO summit. And he also makes some speech, which we're gonna get into later, not now, but first we're gonna touch the markets a little bit to see what's going on with the market. So energy is, as we all know this before, because we spoke about this in previous live stream. Oil actually runs the U.S. economy. Oil is the backbone of the economy. When oil prices are spiking, all other prices follow suit. Gasoline, transportation costs, food prices, and everything. So if this continues, and if this go back to where we were, we might see additional price increases. A few days ago, Walmart dropped prices because oil prices were coming down, and Walmart dropped prices on some items. Which that's a very unconventional thing because usually when food prices go up, uh, very rarely they go back down. And Walmart is a giant in the grocery business, and Walmart actually can afford to drop prices because their demand is so big that they can negotiate with suppliers, that they can negotiate with their vendors to say, hey, we want to get these products down at a certain price point, so make it happen, or we're going to go to somewhere else. And another thing a lot of people don't know is Walmart has their own. So what Walmart operation is so vertically integrated to a point where they have their own ships. I think Costco does this too. Walmart has their own vessels that are transporting their goods via sea, whatever they import or whatever, raw materials or grains, whatever Walmart import and sell to us. Walmart is so vertically integrated to the point where they have their own vessels, and they can negotiate all prices for fuel prices and so forth. So long story short, I say that to say this: Walmart is a giant in the industry, one of the biggest companies in the United States, and they can afford to negotiate to a point where they can save consumers a cent or two on products and services, so they'll be able to afford to drop prices or lower prices on products and services. So that's one. Walmart is doing good there for us, and but overall though, we if this continues and this is not a temporary setback and the peace deal, then we might see prices start going back up, and the markets will catch a temper tantrum in a way, even though traders are used to the situation, and the temper tantrum might see huge spike in energy stocks and so on and so forth. So, what does this mean for your wallet? Well, we just got a relief of gas prices, so if anything, people might start paying more at the pumps again. Um, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully, as I said, this would be a temporary setback, and we see that they managed to straighten this out because, as I said before, and we all know, we're not the only one hurting from any of this stuff. Europe is getting hurt, so on and so forth. So that's what I have on the U.S. situation. Talking about Europe, Trump is at a NATO summit, and Trump dropped a bomb on Spain. Yes, Trump is saying he has nothing to do with the Spaniards, and that all trade deals with the Spaniards are off because the Spaniards are using NATO. Yes, Trump is saying that the Spaniards are enjoying the protection NATO provides to them because they're in Europe and they are part of the NATO, and the Spaniards are not pulling their weight by contributing to enough money to NATO on a whole. So Trump is saying he has nothing to do with Spain, and yes, he wants all trade deals with Spain to cut off. And but this is not the first time we're hearing this from Trump, though. Nate, regarding Spain, I think Trump and Spain have a very, the Spanish government and Trump have a very bad relationship. And if one thing, Trump will call out anyone on their BS. Trump will call out anyone on their bullshit. You understand? Trump will call out anyone on their bullshit. And Trump really called them out a year ago during the tariff time when Trump was just hitting everyone with tariffs. Trump called them out, but it's true though. I think it's true. We spend so much money and donate so much to NATO, and we're not even facing any significant threat to the point where we will need NATO to back us or really help us. We listen. I think the United States doesn't need NATO as much as NATO need the United States. And when I said NATO, I mean in the European countries. The United States doesn't need the European country as much as the European countries need us. For security, for trade, for finance. We have the deepest and widest markets. We have, again, American people are the biggest consumer in the world. We have the best weapons. The best weapons are made here. What else? Our capital markets are so deep and wide. So Trump is right, though. You know what I mean? We can defend ourselves from a military perspective, from a cyber perspective, from all possible angles. We can defend ourselves. So why are we, United States, contributing so much to NATO for what? And why is Spain over there sitting down, not contributing as much and enjoying the protection NATO provides NATO provide to them from aggressors like Russia, and because NATO is set up to really deter Russia, basically. Bottom line, that's what NATO is set up to do: deter Russia, deter the Russian Federation. Do you guys know about the Warsaw Pact? The Warsaw Pact was set up by Russia to counter NATO. And Poland and those countries was in the Warsaw Pact at the time, but now Poland is a part of NATO. So pretty much NATO is set up to counter Russia. So why is Spain doing this? Because they use us for years and years and years and years and years. And if Trump doesn't say something, it's gonna continue like that. So Trump wants Spain to come forward and contribute more of their GDP to NATO, buy more weapons, spend more money in NATO. You're not just spending money in NATO, you're spending money in NATO for your own protection as well. Because, listen, right now if something break off in Spain, who's coming to Spain's rescue? All the other European countries and the United States. You understand? So we want NATO, we want Spain to be a bigger contributor to NATO and NATO initiatives. Basically, that's what Trump wants. And Spain need to really look into the situation and do it and do what needs to be done so that we can have a better relationship, so on and so forth. But that's what's going on there with NATO and Spain. I guess the tariffs are going to be sanctioned because of that, and so that's what I have today now as well. And I think Trump and Spain gonna figure this thing out. Literally, I think they're gonna figure this thing out. This is just a temporary skirmish, and Trump is hot-headed, and he'll just call you out right there and then. And I can guarantee that there are closed-door meetings addressing this situation with NATO and Spain. But Trump just decided to blast Spain anyways. That's how Trump works. You know what I mean? So we shall see, guys. But please remember, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we drop any hot topic, any hot content. This is your boy Jermane'S Views. Let me know what you think. I'd like to hear your perspective.